All right, today we're going to talk about lesson 94, graphing pairs of inequalities on a number line. So an example that they give you in the book is that professional basketball players range in height from 5 feet 5 to, how tall was the highest one? Wait a minute, 7'6", okay? And if you converted those to inches, the shortest one in the NBA would be 65 inches, okay? So we're going to include him. So we're greater than 65, right? Equal or greater. And then the tallest guy is 7'6", which is going to be 90, okay? So less than or equal to 90. So if we're putting these two together, we're going to color in between. And this is what we call a conjunction. Okay, we hooked up, right, the two inequalities. All right, so as you would read this, you'd say, well, H, the height, is between 65 and 90 in including. So this is a conjunction where H is less than or equal to 90, but greater than or equal to 65. So you don't, of course, have to show the entire number line. We'd have 0 to 60 that way, and over here, larger numbers. We're just showing the piece that we're interested in. All right, so turn the page, and let's look at the first example. And this says, use a number line graph and an inequality expression. That's going to be something like x is greater than 5. Okay, that's what they mean by inequality expression. And number line graph to describe this statement. The length of one side of a triangle, so we'll call it side, is greater than 2 and less than 8. All right, so let's think about it. Here's 2 and here's 8. So we want to be less than 8, so we don't want we want an open circle. We don't want to fill it in. We want less than 8, but we want greater than 2. So we're going to put an open circle there. And we're going to shade in between. Because now we're saying it could be 3, 4, 5, 5 and a half, 5 and a third, 6, 7, but not 8 and not 2. And certainly not 1 and 9, right? Because we want less than 8, greater than 2. So we're putting those two together and bounding this inequality between those two numbers. All right, the next example, it says to graph the inequality. So they give it to you. It's -1 is less than or equal to x is less than 5. Okay, so we're going to read it left to right. All right, so I'm going to show -1, 0, and 5. I don't have to show every little tick mark. All right, but I want it oriented properly. Negatives that way, 0, positives this way. Okay, so I want -1, and I want to fill it in because of the equal, correct? And then 5, I want open because I don't want to include 5. And I want everything in between. So any number between -1 and including -1 and 5, not including 5, would be true in this inequality. In other words, like 4 is on my graph, right? Is 4 fitting here? Yeah, 4 is less than 5, and it's greater than -1. I know this is a less than sign, but you're reading it kind of backward for that part. X is greater than this number. So when we put in a conjunction, we always use less than signs, but if we were reading it out loud, we would say x is less than 5, but it's greater, the open side to the x is greater than a -1. Okay? Let's see. The next one, we have what we call a disjunction. It says graph this pair of inequalities, and we have the or. So in this one, we're saying that t has to be less than 40, so numbers like 39, 37, 20, or greater than 100. So 102, 110, 200, right? So what we would do in this case, we'll say, well, here's 40, here's 100. So I want less than 40. I'm going to go this way, right? I want 30 and 20 and 10. And 100, but greater. So this is what we call a disjunction. Disjunction. Not disc. Disjunction. All right? So when you got your or, you're going away from each other. All right, so let's see how you guys do. I want you to stop the video do your practice. You don't have to do E. We're not going to do the word problem right now. If you want to read it on your own, it's pretty cool, but we're just going to do the basic inequalities. So just do A through D. All right, so for A, we have a conjunction. We want numbers between -3 and 3. So I've got open circles because I don't have my equal sign with my inequalities, and I have a conjunction shading in between. For B, I have a disjunction, an or, right? So X is greater than or equal to 3, so filled in, greater than, or less than or equal to -3, that way, okay? And I am including because of the equal underneath, so I fill in my circles. All right, then for C, we have a conjunction. X is less than 10, but greater than 5, so we want these numbers, not including 5, including 10. For D, we have a disjunction. X is less than 0, not including 0, going toward negatives. X is greater than or equal to 5, going toward positive, so shading appropriately. Okay, RenWeb has your assignment. Make sure you do neat, careful, tidy work. Turn it in only when it's requested. Check your work. Do your best. Honor the Lord. In Jesus' name, work unto his glory. Love you guys.